Schedule. All rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Here.
Councilman Cullen.
Here.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
Here.
Councilwoman Hudak.
Here.
Supervisor Hill.
Here. Notation to the exits in the front and the rear in the electronic device. Please put it on vibrate. I make a motion to come out of executive session. No action was taken, but we're going to go back into executive session at the end of the meeting, and no action will be taken then either.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have two public hearings this evening. The first one's about the Peaceville Hill Water District, and the second one is ladies and gentlemen, please. Chapter 131, Vehicle and Traffic, Section 131-39, reduced speed limit lower than townwide speed limit on Drovers Lane, Acorn Road, and Orchard Court. Early today, the town attorney forwarded us some information. Oh, we didn't open it? Oh, no, I'm just going to explain before I open the public hearing. No?
No, I've got it.
Who said that? Are you saying that I should open?
Open the public
I'm just going to explain to them first.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not.
We're not going to be opening the public hearing.
Okay, so the town attorney found some information out, and I shared it with those that had applied and asked for this reduced speed limit. New York State law, Vehicle and Traffic, 1622, that a speed limit cannot be reduced below 25 miles an hour. The request was for 15 miles an hour, which is pretty low. You walk fast and you've broken the speed limit. And the current speed limit there and all over town roads, not marked otherwise, is 30 miles an hour. So the request is being pulled, but we have you here this evening, so we're not going to take any action on it. We will listen because we have the public hearing, but if you don't want to wait around, because the first part of the meeting will probably take a half hour, 45 minutes, no action is going to be taken on the request. It's been withdrawn.
Tony, if I could be more clear, the public hearing was scheduled to consider a local law to reduce the speed. The state law says that you cannot, and these are their controller opinions that support this, you cannot, as a town board, adopt a local law that would reduce the speed in the town on any road less than 30 miles an hour. You can make an application to the Department of Transportation to have a speed reduced, but not less than 25 miles an hour. So this public hearing tonight was scheduled essentially in error because we cannot adopt a local law to do what it is that was requested by whoever requested it.
Okay, so if you don't mind staying for the other part of the meeting, so should we open that part of the public hearing at the time or no? If there's no purpose.
There's really
Well, if
no
anyone
need
wants
for a
to.
public hearing is what I'm trying to
Okay.
explain.
We're not going to take action.
Right.
We're not going to.
Okay. So if you're here for that portion of it, thank you for coming. It's not happening. Okay, I'll now make a motion to open the public hearing for the Peaceful Hill Water District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, for those of you that are here for that particular portion of the hearing, we have our consultants here this evening. You all know Levon Bedrosian. He's the head of the Special Districts Department. He's going to lead you through most of the financial part, and then Chazen is here. The gentleman's name is?
Pierre Brissette.
Pierre?
Brissette.
Okay.
Excuse
Okay.
me.
Make a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, Levon will give you the financials. The other gentleman will answer all your questions. And as you speak, you have to come up to this mic here. I'd like at least one person at the mic and one behind him so we can move this along. I don't know how many questions that you have or whatever, but we're going to answer every one of your questions to the best of our ability this evening. If we don't have an answer, we'll find it out and get it to you very shortly. So, Levon, would you like to start?
Sure. As Tony said, my name is Levon Bedrosian. I'm the Special District Administrator for the town of Southeast. When we initially started this project, we anticipated that the expenditures to create the new district, or the new water supply, I should say, would be about $2.5 million. After we've done a lot of the preliminary engineering and drilling of the wells and so forth,
Levon, can you maybe pick that up a little bit, so I don't know if they
Is that
can hear you
better?
as well?
Can you hear it better now?
Can you hear better?
Okay.
Okay.
So, we got to after many years of going back and forth with DEC, Department of Health, and DEP, we came to a final design plan in which we created bid documents. It went out to bid this last spring, and we received our prices back, which were actually in the letter that Tony sent out to everybody. And with those bid numbers, it pushed our total cost of the project up to $3,389,000, or say $3.4 million about. And therefore, because we have to take in some additional money to pay for that, we have to hold another public hearing to meet the requirements. In the letter, it said that the average, in the public hearing, it had an average of $2,022 as the average for the residents, $2,022. But let me explain how the pricing is going to work out. At the $3.6 million, or say $3.4 million, if we just did a flat rate for everybody, as we do in all of our districts, it would be $496 per house, per quarter. So Tony and I were talking about how can we change that to try to address some of the people who use less water. So what we're doing is we're gonna give a 5,000 gallon allowance, and for the 5,000 gallons, the rate would be $395 a quarter. And then it will be 1.1 cents per gallon over the 5,000 gallons. So if you normally use 5,000 gallons or less, then your quarterly rate will be $395. And if you use any amount of water over 5,000 gallons, it'll be that additional amount over that 5,000 times multiplied by the 1.1 cents per gallon to give you what your quarterly rate would be for that quarter. So the $2,022 was taken from a 15,000 gallon average because most houses in most of our districts use about 15,000 gallons per quarter. It's an average, and that's where we came up with that dollar amount. So everybody
That's
understands.
$505.
Right. So, like somebody called me earlier in the week and they asked, you know, they usually use about 11,000 gallons. So their quarterly rate would be $461. It wouldn't be the $505, but it wouldn't be the $395.
Okay, now let me just help, well, not help him. Vaughn does a great job, doesn't need my help, I can tell you that now. But we took sympathy for many of the seniors, we hear you, but our problem with hearing you is there's a capital cost of the plant. So where you won't be charged for water because you don't use a lot of water, that's why we came up with the rate which you'd be paying $395. There's exactly, or thereabouts, there's 14 users in that category that use a small amount. They go away on vacation, bless you. They go down south for the winter time. They're seniors, they don't use much. There's 105 users, which is the bulk of the district, and there's 25 users that use 25,000 gallons and more. So that's how we broke it up. But the biggest thing people have to realize, we would like to make it lower, but it's a capital cost. That is the issue. In other words, the building of the plant, the tanks, the distribution, that's what costs the money. So even though you're a senior now, you're always going to be a senior and get older, but at some point in time, you may be selling your house, moving down south, and another family is going to come in, and they're going to be paying the same capital cost, because whether you have one person or 100 people, the same amount of money is in the capital cost to in each individual home. And how many homes is there, 144?
There's 134, but there's 144 accounts.
Okay, so there's 144 accounts that'll end up paying for this. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I didn't know what else you wanted me to talk about. I mean, we could talk about, like Tony was saying, the annual amount for the bond, just to pay, to make the payments for the bond is $253,000 a year. So that's the capital expense that Tony's talking about. If you divide that by the 144 houses or 44 or connections, that's $439 a quarter. So that's why there's only so much room we can, wiggle room we can have to go up or down on rates. So that's how we came up with these calculations.
And we really tried every which way, wait, sir, you can come up and speak in a moment. We've tried every which way to get this as low as possible, but the main course, of course, is the fact that it's taken as long as it has, prices have changed, and the regulations require us and you to do certain things to make this work. And unfortunately, over time, that's happened, and now the economy is kind of bubbling better than it was 3 years ago. Some of them came in higher. So what we're going to do now is at least one person come to the mic, and the next person will answer all your questions the best we can. And then if this gentleman comes up, next person would like to ask questions, come behind him, and you're not limited to what you ask.
Let me also, one of the other questions that somebody had that called me is the 1.1 cents a gallon. They want to know what's the probability of that going up. Obviously, we don't know long-term, more than 5 or 10 years, what the operation and maintenance is going to be. But short-term, we know that most districts cost just under a penny a gallon to produce water. So the 1.1 cents a gallon is only the estimate for the first year or two until we understand how much it's going to cost us to produce water and pump water out of that facility. And once we get a better understanding, that rate, don't hold me to it, but it could go down to a penny a gallon, or it could go down to 9/10 of a penny. We just don't know at this point, but we wanted to start at 1.1 so that it was on the higher side, so that we could always drop it down as opposed to coming in at 8/10 of a penny and then going up. So that's just another thing that was brought to my attention.
Now, over the past more than a couple of years, because I've been here about 4.5 years, but before I got here, your district was in the red. You were led to believe, without seeing any kind of numbers, you were deep in the red, okay? And you have a cost that you've been carrying forward that the town and the other districts have been helping pay. This here gets you back to even. But your biggest problem is, and what Levon's trying to explain with that 1.1 cent, you have no money for reserve, but you also have a brand-new plant. So hopefully for the next 10 years, you won't have any additional cost in the capital cost of running the plant. Now in Brewster Heights, that's been up there for how many years? 30 years? And they had a bond like for 20, and people say, oh, good, we're all paid up. Well, guess what? After 20 years, your plant's to the point where you have to almost make it brand new again. You have to change this, change that, and there's always things going on. So for 10 years, you should be in fairly good shape because everything is new. After that, it changes. But some of this money, if there's any additional money, we don't keep a penny. There is a charge to, send out the bills, do this, do that, all to your district. Every district has a particular cost that they have to have. And that's why the number is what it is. But also, hopefully, during this period of time, there'll be some additional monies that we can sock it away. So if something happens, you get something for $40,000 or $50,000, we have some money that we don't have to hit you up with an extra surcharge when you don't have it and build up a little bit of an escrow account for you to use. Okay, sir. Just state your name.
James Langlois. I live at 20 Spruce Road on the parcel across the street from the proposed site. One thing I wanted to talk about first is screening. In the last town hall meeting, I had fought hard to have the screening adjusted. Originally, it was supposed to be 1-foot saplings in front of the tank, and the town board agreed and the contractor agreed to the
Was
screening.
it the town board or?
Planning board, probably.
Planning board.
Planning board, I'm sorry. Planning board agreed that they would double the screening budget, and they would also be open to building on my property, because I'm
To
the
what?
only parcel in front of the,
I didn't hear what you said.
they were open to building on my property. Because the
Building.
property line is an easement with where the tank is going to be built.
I haven't heard of that.
I think building is regards to landscaping.
Okay.
not
Landscape coverage.
Physical.
I've read the minutes, and let me tell you what I think is the best resolve for your situation. Once the plant, we're not gonna do any landscaping until the building is done.
Why is that?
I can,
Let me tell you
It'll
why.
die, the plant.
Right now, if we planted, whether it's 1 foot or 22 foot, until the building is there and we walk onto your property and look to see where you're really, we plant a bush here, but it should be over here, it's not gonna help you.
It's cut and dry. I mean, if Levon would like to come to my property and see, since the land has been cleared, first of all, instead of keeping tree coverage in front of the road, the proposed road where it's gonna be, about 40 foot of frontage is completely barren. So the view from my nice bay window is a 30-foot pile of wood chips for the last 2 months. And
Well, It's under
it's
construction.
not really funny to me, but
It's under construction.
it's under construction, I get that.
No.
But the money is going to be allocated and spent regardless if it's at the front end of the project or the back end of the project. And building on my property as proposed at the planning board is not gonna impact the road in, the road out, the construction site at all. Because the way my house is situated, it's on top of a hill, there's a slope, a large slope, and then there's the road. So I propose to build a retaining wall and to put either mature Norway spruce or double green arborvitaes to screen my property from the plan. If the money's gonna be spent now or later, what does it matter? If it's already
I
outlined?
don't wanna wait, but look, we're not looking to waste money. We will try to accommodate you, I believe, to the best of our abilities.
Would someone be able to, willing to come to my house to look the site and just
I
see
think
what I'm talking about?
I go up the road there all the time, I know where you live. And
You know where I live.
I know where you live.
So you
And
know what I'm looking at.
I would personally, if it was me, the best way to resolve that is about halfway up into your property, put up some good-sized trees.
That's my plan.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. But we have to wait till we're done before we plant. Again, you want a view like this, perfection, I don't blame you.
There's no perfection in life.
No.
I get that.
Okay, you know what?
No,
We
no,
will,
I
we will
just want-
do what we can to accommodate you.
But does anybody on the board object to doing it beforehand, and why?
I can speak to this a bit, because I've spent over 20 years in the landscaping business. I would be happy to take a look, but it can be very problematic. Things happen during construction. You'd think they wouldn't, but I've seen even just disturbed ground and roots and real problems. So and also, once everything is built, you might want to change where you've situated. It's really amazing what happens when you want to screen something. So I actually think it's in your best interest, as well as the tree's best interest, to wait. So that would be my recommendation, but I'd be happy to meet with you and take a look.
That'd be
And I
great.
know how frustrating it must be for you, and I understand that. But I think, you don't want your neighbors to be paying more for your landscaping.
No,
You
no,
want it to
absolutely not.
live. We all want it to thrive.
And-
So I think you are better off waiting. I honestly do.
But my point, and the point that I brought in front of the planning board, is that the berm where my hill comes down is 15-foot or 20-foot setback from the road. So if a retaining wall is built and trees are built behind that, no construction is going to impact that. But what is going to be impacted is my 6-year-old, my 3-year-old, and my family's quality of life while this construction goes on. And if, I believe the original budget was $10,000 for screening, it was increased to $20,000, I believe, as part of the planning board. If it's gonna be spent, whether it's in June or July, or whether it's in October or November, I don't see what the cost savings is.
Right.
It's not about cost savings, it's trying to give you exactly what you want, and until the plant is done, right, there's, all these drawings, the tank is supposed to be like underground, you're only supposed to see this much of it. Well, what after they're done, it's not that, I don't know.
Which drawing did you look at?
Which what?
Which drawing did you look at that showed the tank this much above the ground?
How much was it?
15 or 18 feet?
No, not what I heard.
5 feet exposure.
The last planning board meeting, the exposure was 12 or 13 feet, I believe, is what they said.
Well, you know what? When it's done, we can come to your house, sit there and look and say, look, if you plant about, I don't know, I'm not gonna say 20 feet from your front door or whatever, because the closer we bring those bushes to your line of sight, the better off you're gonna be. No way is it gonna happen on the other side of Spruce Road because it's worthless.
No, of course not, I get that.
So I would just wait. It's gonna be a little bit of inconvenience for you while it's being built, but it's the best way to do it. Again, we can spend $10,000 planting bushes, and not one of them will work the way you want it to work.
I would also say that the planting, it is better to plant fall rather than midsummer. Because of watering and it will cool off. So that's another reason to wait. And I understand how frustrating it is, I really do, but I just think it,
I hope you can hold dear to me as far as, I'm a new homeowner here. This is
Yep.
my third, going on fourth year here. And buying this house and having this, put, literally 100 foot from my front bay window.
right,
My wife, who's not here to speak, she'd probably be a little bit more animated than I would be.
right.
It's a little bit frustrating to know that, it's gonna be done after the project, whereas if someone like yourself, if you'd love, I'd love to have you.
I will definitely come out, and
I
the one
mean-
thing is too, you don't want arborvitae's, no matter what they tell you, deer love them, no matter what
10-foot
variety.
fence, deer fence, that's what I propose.
Yeah, so.
But a Norway spruce, I hear, is a good alternative.
Yes, it is a good alternative, and blues work too, and you want something fast-growing, and you're gonna really take good care of it, because you want them to live well.
And I want to not look out my bay window when I drink
Yes.
coffee and see a
But,
tank and a pump house.
If you can, I'd be happy to come out and take a look and meet with you.
Okay, great, and you are.
Lynn Eckhart,
Lynn
and my, my email address is, please email me.
I will do
okay?
that.
And we'll definitely talk about it.
Okay, so that brings me to my second point. I'll just be brief. Originally, when this project was conceived, I believe the average bill was stated as $1,650 was going to be what the reality was. Now we're seeing the reality is $2,200. I, as a family of four, I landscape my lawn. I pay about, I'm going to say $2,500 a year. At what point does this project become a moot point as far as cost savings versus spending $3.5 million in capital money? I do project management for a living, so for me, I don't see the cost benefit for the town and for everybody here that's in the water district if we're not going to see a penny of savings, and we're going to be paying a bond for 30 years, number one, and number two, we're not priced 20 years, sorry, and we're not going to be price stable at all. That 1.1 cents is not going to last. We know that.
I think the number that you're getting from us now is really the most accurate number. Again, this started off when I first got here, almost 4 years ago. I'm actually,
Predates my Putnam County
I'm
existence.
actually embarrassed that it takes as long as it does, but believe me, it's out of our control, that the DEP, DEC, DOH, they all have regulations that we must follow. They're the ones that dictate the plan. The
Correct.
people that were out here earlier, they're from Spring Health Estates. Those poor people pay $750 a quarter for the water. And, huh? Oh, it was $850? Oh, sorry. I was giving Michelle a discount, but it doesn't work. $850 a quarter. I mean, that's a tremendous amount of money.
It's a travesty when you look around at the reservoirs that are around us and the people 100 years ago that sold us down the road to New York City, when we have abundance of natural water that we can't even use. I digress.
But the numbers presented, now you should be in the category of the $2,020.
I think I'm like 600 a quarter, 650 a quarter.
24.
So about 2,800 a year.
Okay, no, that's a lot. That's not what we're saying.
That's what I pay now. But
How
what I'm
much-
saying is for the benefit of everybody
How much you pay
here,
for a year, sir?
about 2,700, I think?
2,700? We're calculating out to be around 2,020.
Right, but I'm saying for the benefit of
So
everybody.
what he's paying now,
Is
To the village.
2,700?
2,700. So, but I'm one person of 134 houses in the district. When this was conceived and when the planning board talked about it, $1,600 average was floated around. Now, today, we're talking about 2,200,
No, 2,020.
2020
Yes,
is going to be the average bill.
that's the average
I
bill.
thought you said 2,200.
No, 2020.
Hey,
$2,022.
Then I misunderstood. I thought it was 2,200.
I could swear we did.
Just, I know you said you're fairly new up here. The situation, I don't know if you're aware of the situation. We're currently buying the water
Village of
from the
Brewster.
village of Brewster.
I'm well aware.
And 8 years ago, or whatever, the village was raising the price, and the people in Peaceable Hill were very upset about it. And we actually did like an informal vote when Tony took over, and the people who live in Peaceable Hill, they felt they would rather
Didn't it
be in
double?
control of their own destiny, because the village, no offense to the village, but who knows what they could do? They could raise the rates, they say they won't now, there could be a new administration in, and we have no control over it. So at least now we'll have control, and this is what the majority of the people wanted in Peaceable Hill at the time.
I do take part in my math. And 5 times 4 is 20. So anyway, bottom line, these are the users that I told you, there's 14 users. Theirs is going to be $395. And unfortunately for them, no. That's what we decided not to do.
Oh, okay, that was proposed.
Oh, that's what you're currently paying. Well, that's what we're doing. again, we try to take something, we hear the seniors all the time, I go away, why do I have to pay so much for water? So that's the best we could do, but actually it's $130 more that they're paying. No matter how we tried to work these numbers, and believe me, we've tried probably a dozen different ways, how can we make it lower? And every way we did it, it came out more.
It has to be amortized amongst the
Yeah,
districts.
so that was the hard part. Here's where you live. You pay $505, so you're gonna be paying, this is supposed to be $10 more than what you're currently paying, but you're paying $495?
More than that.
Okay, you are.
He's up here, Tony.
He's
I'm
gonna be
in, I'm in the bigger.
This one.
He's on this one?
I'm a little bit, I think like 17 to
He's like
18,000
20,000
gallons.
Okay.
I think 18 or 19 is my.
Okay, so your estimate would be $6.15 a quarter.
Okay.
That's 12, that's 24, so that's still less than what you're currently paying.
But
We're hoping that happens.
we're hoping that.
And I think it will happen, at least on this level. And again, everything is brand new, you shouldn't run into any additional things thereafter. And again, one of the selling points it is for everyone in that district, you, the people of Peaceful Hill, control your own destiny. The village, they have theirs, if something happens or whatever it is, you have a rate, you're being charged X number of dollars.
We're at the mercy of it.
And they're also gonna be either raising the rates or adjusting the rates. At some point now, they'll adjust the rates. Very rarely is it adjusted lower,
Never.
usually higher. So you control your own destiny. And if we can charge you 1.1 cent from now until forever, that's what we can charge you. Where if someone else charges you more, we can't control it. You will control your own destiny. That's why most of the people decided to go this way. We do apologize that the rates were higher than we estimated, but like in 4 years it took to get this done.
I'm in the capital project business, it
Okay,
happens. I
good.
know.
You're the best spokesman.
And you, in the utility business, no less, so it's even worse.
Just work with us with the trees, and believe me, you'll be happier.
Okay, I'm definitely gonna be in touch
Please
with Lynn. And
email me.
I've taken up enough of everybody's time. I'm sorry about being on
No,
here so
no,
long.
and
I just
I'll-
had one quick third question is, I have two neighbors who are currently off the district. They have their own drilled artesian wells. Is there any way to get an exemption from the water
No.
district?
You'd still have to pay the base rate, correct, Levon? Is that what?
The Department of Health won't allow it.
Right.
I don't think they would, because otherwise,
They won't,
I think that was brought up at the initial
Yeah.
meetings, too.
So why would those two grant an exception?
because it was prior to.
Yeah,
They-
grandfathered
They
in.
grandfathered in since
They
they
were
were
never
there.
included in the district.
The designation of the district, I believe.
And they asked me to ask on their behalf, is their flat rate gonna go up?
Yes.
It's gonna go up to the nominal rate for everybody on the district?
Yes.
No,
It's gonna be a special rate,
you get a prorated rate.
a prorated rate, so instead of paying, I think it's $50 a quarter or something,
I'd
$100 a
have to
quarter?
look at their specific.
Okay, but it's not gonna be $400 a quarter for them to be on, off the
I had to
district?
look at their business, I had to look at the,
Okay, they asked me to ask them that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for that.
Thank
I
you.
definitely will be in touch.
Good,
Thank you,
please do.
appreciate it.
And just to respond to your, about the 18,000, if you're saying you use 18,000 gallons a quarter, and it's $625 a quarter right now, 18,000 gallons for this new price structure will be $538 a quarter.
Susan Berman, Manor Way. Couple of things. It's upsetting that it went up $1 million. We didn't think it was gonna be, last time we talked, it was 2,200,000 or something like that. 2.5? Yeah, so that's a lot of extra money, and it took all this time, and I know it wasn't your fault that, that the DOA or the this, that, and the other thing, but we're really, as far as money is concerned, nobody's making any money, no one's saving any money on this. When we spoke last time, we said 5,000 gallons. I understand that the wells are gonna be pushing out all this water, right? And I then said, why 5,000? Why not 7,000? I'm asking that again because that would bring the price for other, it's not even for me, I'm sure I don't use 5,000. The price down for people who are using, who have a family with 3 kids. So what's the arbitrary 5,000? Why can't it be 7,000 or 750 or something higher so that people will not have to pay extra money?
Okay, so.
Yvonne, what numbers did we use when we come up with that? Did you keep that chart?
Yes. No, I don't, let me explain it. So the extra 2,000 gallons times the .011 cents per gallon is $22. Doesn't sound like a lot. Times 4, times, I don't know if it'd be 30 or how many houses. That's $2,640. So that money has to come from someplace. So we'd have to take that $2,640 that we would normally get from the gallon rate and collect it somewhere. So we either have to raise the gallon rate from 1.1 cents to 1.2 to collect more money, or we have to take the $3.95 and raise it to, well, divide that by 144. Is another $18 per house per year, divided by 4. Is another $4.60. So you'd have to raise it from $3.95 to $3.99.60. So, because the one thing about, like Tony was saying, in the districts that we run in the town, none of them are profit margins for the town. None of the surplus in the district goes to pay for anything else in the town. It stays in that district. We don't take it for highways, roads, town hall, salaries, or anything. If there's $1 or $100 left over at the end of the year, it's left in a fund balance, and it's put there till the following year, and then if something breaks, then we have that $100. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it's $100. Next year, say a lot of people use more water, and we have $5,000 left over for the end of the budget. That $5,000 is put into a fund balance. If you have a pump or a pipe breaks or a hydrant breaks in the district, we need to repair it. That $5,000 helps repair that without changing your rates. So we can change it to $7,000, we can change it to $10,000, we can change it to $15,000. It depends on how the structure is. But Tony and I were trying to figure out how can we be the fairest to the people who use the least amount of water, and how can we be fairest to the people who use the most amount of water without gouging one or the other. Because right now, like he said, he uses 18,000 gallons and he's paying $6.25. So his rate's going to go down a little bit because the gallon rate is lower. So instead of paying 2.3 cents, he's going to only pay 1.1. So that's going to lower his rate. The people on the lower side, it's going to go up a little bit because they're normally only paying the 150 plus the 2.3 cents a gallon. So theirs is going to go up a little bit also. But I mean, how would you change it? It's either everybody pays exactly the same, or we do a 3-tiered structure, or a 2-tiered really. It's the base rate plus the gallon usage. And this is the only district in the town that's operated this way, because we're trying to make it as easy of a impact to your financial ability to pay the bills without having a great change of what you're doing now. Because people that are using 10,000 gallons are used to paying that amount now from what we have now. Like he's paying $6.25. He's used to paying the $6.25 or $600 a quarter in that area. So, this way he's still paying his share for what his consumption is, but he's still getting a little bit of a discount.
When is this gonna be done?
As soon as we get done with the public hearing and it goes out to bid, I mean,
2 months,
we can.
3 months, 6 months, when's it gonna be finished?
Depends on the weather, this time next year.
I would say, well, it's
6 to 9
it's
months.
9
This time
9
next
to
year,
12
maybe
months
at
for
the most.
construction and
12?
everything. So that's without any impact of weather or any other difficulties we run into.
There's always issues
But-
with parts.
So
How much money do you have?
I would have to get that, let me see.
Give me a approximate.
What do you mean by O?
For this project,
How much are you into the
Oh,
project?
yes.
I mean,
I-
these people haven't done all this stuff in the high school.
$648,169.67.
And that's what's inside of the 3 million and something.
right.
Yes.
No, that's that's,
The
yeah.
cameraman can't hear you, Ms. Bierman. So
Oh, yeah.
Try to,
Oh, I'm sorry.
She wanted to know how much money we already spent.
I'm finished.
How much was it, Tony?
648,169.67. That's including the purchase into the land, the engineering fees, I'm giving you the high price stuff, engineering services, tree removal. We had to pay taxes on land prior, the owner of the property beforehand had taxes, we had to pay that to get it to you, land surveying, legal services, and some other smaller amounts, but those are the major costs.
Question I would like to ask. My name is Jack DeChico. I'm on Peaceable Hill Road.
Could you just speak up a little?
I'm Jack DeChico. I live on Peaceable Hill Road. The question I would like to ask is how many additional people you're going to need to hire on this project, and how much more the costs are going to go up. Also, how much more water are you going to ship into there that's going to cause extra cost to this project? You're going to have to hire more more
No.
people.
No.
Good.
The operators that currently run all of our districts now will take this additional workload on. So part of the rate that we're talking about, the $3.95 plus the 1.1 cents a gallon, covers that expense.
If we were to scrap the project, how much would we have to pay without going to bond? How much would we have to just pay? And
You owe $700,000. I believe we can get a loan for that for maybe 20 years.
Okay,
So, Levon, you got a calculator?
if
700,000?
we just scrap the project and go back to the town,
To
the village.
Village.
Yeah.
and we get a contract with them for like a 20-year contract.
There's no guarantee of anyone to a 20-year
We were
contract.
told in many public hearings that that was not possible. I don't know if it's
How about if
changed,
we
but
try to negotiate more? Because we got lawyers, we got politicians here, we got everybody here.
Levon,
At this point, if you're saying you want to put the project on hold, that means,
No.
yes.
What I'm trying to say is, it's cheaper to go through the town of the village.
It is not cheaper because you're gonna still be paying.
We got $3 million that we didn't have to spend.
If,
ladies and gentlemen in the office, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please.
right now, you're gonna be paying what you pay now, plus the $700,000 bonded, added to your payment, what you're paying now.
But what about the $3 million?
We're not gonna, if you're telling me you're gonna wanna renegotiate with the village, then why would we build a plant if you're gonna renegotiate from the village?
But we're paying much less with the village.
you need to talk into the
Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you want to speak, just go outside the door, but we can't hear what's going on up here.
It's 2 cents a gallon through the village, 2.3. With the overruns that are happening now, we're looking at 700,000 plus another $3 million.
No, the 3.6 includes that 700,000.
Okay, but we're gonna be going all the way up to $500 per household, right?
average.
On
That's
average.
an average.
And right now, you're paying $495 according to our figures.
No, I'm paying about $450.
Well, but the average is $495. So the only difference you're talking is $50, and you will control your own destiny.
Yeah, but in 20 years.
But if you take a contract out somewhere else, if you're paying right now, how would you say, $450 a month?
Yes.
And your new rate will be $500. You're gonna be paying $50 more, you control your own destiny, and I think in the next 20 years, everyone's rate's gonna go up, whether it be the village or even ours. But ours are gonna be the same for probably about 10 years.
But yours are also gonna go up because you have hidden costs throughout the whole.
But so do they.
There-
The village has
You have
costs,
to raise rates no matter what, because you have salaries, you have benefits, you have.
but you're paying for that when you pay the village. When you pay us, when we get our bill from the village, they have their own costs that are put in there besides just the
Here
water.
as well.
Well, there's always gonna be cost involved. You know, I mean, you're gonna have a brand-new plant now.
But in 20 years.
They have an old
How
plant.
much will the water be worth? How
We
much is
don't
the
know.
water?
Who knows?
Okay,
Right.
what about in 5 years? Can you give me an estimate in 5
I
years?
have no idea. And you don't know what the village would charge. They could charge more.
I know the
for-
village just, and I don't want to put Christine on the spot, but I know there was recently a problem at their plant. They have to do something. I'm not sure what that is. I can't remember, and I apologize. But it happens all the time to every plant throughout our water districts. But what I think the point Levon's making is, it's a new plant, so much less, it's less likely that anything major will go wrong in the 20 years.
Okay.
I mean, until, in 10 anyhow.
So in 10 years, you'll have, so after 10 years, we'll have problems.
You could, you might not.
I mean, it's like a house, a brand-new house or a 10-year-old house, you know?
If you're buying a brand new car, what do you know when you're gonna get,
What happens if you get a lemon?
That's different.
Coulda,
If you
shoulda.
buy a brand new car, you don't know when you're gonna get a flat tire. You just don't know that. So when you buy a new car, you have the understanding that my payments are gonna be this, and if somebody hits me and I get in an accident and it's not my fault, if a deer runs out, you don't expect that. You don't want that to happen. Is it possible? It's possible.
Well, you have insurance to protect you.
I think if I can just say that, all the hypotheticals, I think what's important to understand is that both systems have basically the same frailties. You might have issues with the plant, you may not. This plant is newer, so you should have less issues. You will have more control over your own destiny simply because you don't know exactly what it is that the Village of Brewster has in the future. The Village of Brewster is looking to really improve there's this massive project. I don't know how much maybe they're going to have to redo the system because it's got to be in sync with the massive new project, which might then increase the cost of your water because they're going to say, well, you've got to share in these costs. In the past, there's been a lot of differences of opinion with Brewster because the Village of Brewster, some people said we're adding in costs for perhaps other things, like, the police have to patrol it, therefore we have to pass off some of those costs. So that's what we're saying. What we're essentially saying is your costs will be fixed to this plant, to the operation of this plant. That you have control over. This plant could break. This pipe could break here, less likely when it's new because yours will be new, but the same pipes could break here. Or maybe they have to do my recollection, and Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong or anybody else, was basically that there was also some talk about the fact that the infrastructure of the pipes had to be changed. I doubt very strongly that the village is going to say that the village itself, in the village, will cover those costs outside the village. So I believe essentially that's what your neighbors had said when we had the different public hearings regarding their desire, and we had many, public hearings, people coming up. So that's what we're really saying. This focuses your control. With the village, you don't have a focused control. You don't vote for the village officials. You don't. You vote for the town officials who administer the water district, and you can come to us, and we can really help more here. Otherwise, the control is not the town only. The control is also the village. And I think that's why a lot of people came and said, no, we want our own control. The problem, of course, is when we gave estimates, and you heard that gentleman before say, I'm a project manager, I get it. Absolutely. Unfortunately, that's what happened. But once again, there is no guarantee, and there is absolutely no guarantee that you can control, Peaceable Hill can control yourselves when you have the village involved. And I think that's what we're saying. Same frailties, but now you have the control. And I think that's really where it's at. And I think that saying scrap the project and still have the debt that you've accumulated already is probably, just adding to the cost.
But what I'm trying to say is this: if the project gets out of control, because there's going to be additional costs that you don't foresee.
The project, meaning the initial construction we're doing now?
Yes.
We are asking for $200,000 over and above what we need. And the guarantee is, we're not spending a penny of it if we don't need it, but we need the number there in case something does. So basically, you have a contingency of $200,000. We're hoping only to have to borrow $3.4 million, which will lower these numbers slightly. But we went with the highest number required by the State Controller's Office to give you an estimate. So that number might be eaten up. If we don't have to spend that $200,000, that's going to reduce this number by, I can't tell you exactly, how much? $20. So now you're only $30 difference from what you're talking. And for $30, I'd rather control my own destiny.
And the money also, like Levon was saying, doesn't go into the town general fund. Whatever money is left over stays within your district for your expenses only. So if a pipe breaks or something, it's like a savings account for you guys. If something happens in the village, they could come around and say they have to raise money too. I mean, it's the same situation.
Have you really checked all the pipes throughout the whole town to see how, because most of the pipes I saw on Peaceable Hill were rotted through. And I saw them being, I saw that right by underneath the bridge. They pulled out a pipe.
That's a drainage pipe. That has nothing to do with water distribution. That's a drain. That's the road drainage. That's not a pipe. Your distribution system was replaced several years back. And like Liz was saying, if your distribution pipes break now, you guys pay for that. The village doesn't pay for your pipes or any of that stuff. So you're already paying for that. And that's all part of that fund balance and controlling your expenses down the road, is being able to contain everything within your district.
Hi, I'm Miriam. First of all, I want to thank you for all what you've done. It's a very bitter pill to swallow because our dreams were very high. Because I personally fighting for that water for 15 years. With you, the last 6 years, things start moving. And never in our dream we thought we're gonna pay so much. So it's, as much as I'm grateful for your help and all what you've done, the pill is still very bitter. And my question is two questions. One, I second what Susan said about changing the ratio, how much we pay as allowance. Maybe not, she asked for 10,000, I say let's go for 6,000 or 7,000 for now. Give us a year to adjust to it, because let's say give us the first 5 years 7,000, and the next 5 years give us a 6,000, and then the later on 5,000. Now I'm talking from knowledge of the price of water going around the world. The price of water goes up all over the world, and that's the biggest issue in our life right now, water. So that's why I appreciate all what you've done. Personally, I'd be very happy not to get dirty water anymore. So that's one thing. So I was wondering if we can talk about scaling that allowance, start high and going down over the years. Help us adjust to it. It's one. Because over the years we get increase in salaries or whatever, I don't know. But let us adjust to it. That was one thing. Another thing is that I was wondering if anybody in the town here look into EPA or any other organization who give, it's not allowance, grant, give grant for project like that.
We have a grant writer that we've hired for the past, last year, the full year, and he's in the first quarter. And one of his duties, and there's a lot of money now available from federal government, not as much for water as you'd like, more for sewer, but we are making requests of it. But I'm telling you right now, based on past history, the most we got was, I think, $100,000 for Springhouse, and that came after the project was done, and we're gonna plant trees with it, believe it or not.
And
So
Miriam,
we're asking, we're looking for money, but it's,
But keep looking, because I'm getting all this application for my business apply.
Right.
And I'm not applying
you'd
because,
probably get it quicker than we will.
yeah.
because I'm retired, I'm done.
Right.
my
But Miriam,
point-
part of the problem too, so you know, is usually our income is too high in this area to qualify for a lot of the grants. And I know I work with Sean Maloney's office, and also Gillibrand's office is very good at sending things along, and I'll ask again and look. But that has been part of the problem, is Putnam County, the average income tends to be too high. But I think it's, I mean,
Nobody
we'll
asked
be
about my
looking.
income is going down.
Well, it's an average.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, but I think, it's a point well taken, and we need to keep looking.
But
And-
I
and
was
we are.
wondering if they were into exploring that possibilities, because, 100,000 here, 50,000 over there,
Oh, yeah.
adds up and help all of us.
Yep.
But again, my request is please reconsidering scaling the allowance, because I don't water my garden, but I still need to take a shower. So, we have to use water. And for somebody like me, newly retired in the district, money is a big issue. But overall, thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Hi, Barbara Pember. Can you tell me if we have signed a contract with one of these people that you went out for a bid on?
We didn't,
And when does that plan to be?
by the end of this month.
By the end of this month? And from that time, so we're already another month down, from that time, when do they plan to start the project? What is the first step in the project like? Are they gonna go and they're gonna build the tank, or, can you give us a little schematic of what the plan is?
Yeah, well, I think the construction will start probably with both the building and the tank pretty much at the same time because they're very close to each other. So start with the building foundation so that by the fall, we can have the building pretty much done, and also the tank. The tank should go very fast. It's a prefab tank, so that will go up very quickly. But I anticipate the building and the tank going first very quickly.
And when do you plan to start that?
I would imagine if the contract is awarded in June, I would say the contractor, the contractor would probably need about a month to mobilize the site, a month and a half to mobilize to the site. So I anticipate to possibly mid-August for mobilization. And like I said, the contractor will start probably with the building foundation and the tank foundation so that, by the end of the fall, probably a couple of months, we can have the building pretty much all done and the tank also.
And then can you tell me then when are they gonna run the water lines from the road? Because that's, of course, my concern, because it's going down my driveway. So is that gonna be simultaneously, or is that gonna be after the building and the tank are in? So are we talking winter time?
It really depends on the time of year when they get into that, because if they start in August and they start the tank and the building first, they're gonna probably wanna get that done sooner than later, because they're not gonna be wanting, digging through the grounds, putting pipes in. So that would be probably simultaneously as the building and the tank.
Okay, and is somebody gonna come to me and at least speak to me so I know what's gonna happen on my property at that time? When, like I don't want them to come today with their backhoe to dig up my driveway without any forewarning. I'd like to at least prepare, because I have an elderly mother that I need to make sure things are.
We'll stop by, but we're not actually gonna be going on your property at all. We're just gonna be staying in the paper roadway.
Right, but that's my driveway, the paper
Right,
map.
right.
Right.
But we will come to you and let you know, and all the work will be done during the day, and you should be able to use the driveway at night and in the mornings and so forth, because they'll put steel plates and so forth down.
Ms. Pembroke. Okay, I do have one concern.
Where are you located? Just the street?
164, and my driveway is the paper road.
Gotcha.
My concern is I'm going to need access, and, I can't not have it. Okay, so you're gonna come a week ahead of time to let me know, or, I'm just trying to get an idea.
We will try to give you as much notice as humanly possible. We're not gonna go there, like you're gonna get up in the morning and see a bulldozer out there. We'll tell you as much time as they should know, at least 2 to 3 weeks prior to, and knowing you're requesting that, we'll make it a priority to make you know.
Okay, great. And so the anticipated completion date of this project is when? If we're within 1 year, so next June, we should be up and running on our water?
August.
Next August, okay. So one last question. When do we anticipate our water pipes on the road being replaced? Because we know they're old, they're getting older, so we're gonna pay this off and we're gonna have 10 years of free water and things like that with no issues, and then I think we're gonna need pipes.
The pipes were replaced 23 years ago, and they have a 50-year life expectancy.
Perfect, thank you.
Hopefully the dog lives.
Vasil Polishak, 150 Peaceable
I
Hill.
couldn't hear you, so just.
Vasil Polishak, Peaceable Hill.
Can you get that?
Russell Pochak?
Yeah. Question, what about the quality of the new water? At this moment, I checked the quality of my brother-in-law in the city, the water, his prints of the quality of the water. I checked the Brewster and I checked Yorktown, my partner quality of the water, and Brewster has the worst quality. It's acceptable, but the numbers is much worse than they have.
Your water source is changing.
Okay,
And
so
the
it
quality
means
of the
I
water-
will expect the quality
It should definitely improve.
Because after rainy days, I should put filters in my house, because after rainy days I can have a brown water coming from my pipes, and it doesn't mean that piping inside of my house or like from the road bad because it was replaced by me like a few years ago.
I don't know why you'd have brown water after a storm. There's something else.
Not every storm, but some days I can like, I did it before I put the filters, but at this moment I don't have it, so but it is what it is.
I know your pressure will improve also because currently the water is being pumped up the hill from the village. So now the new source will be up high near you, so.
More gravity fed.
More gravity fed, so that should be
So with
improvement.
this all new plants, we're gonna have the new filtration system, like modern one with the.
Well, Levon could address the quality, because I
There-
think it
there
was
won't-
good.
There won't be a filtration system, and I'd have to see the results of what you're talking about to be able to compare them, to understand what you're talking. I can't just blindly say that it's gonna be better because I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the turbidity, the color of the water? Are you talking about the hardness? Are you talking about?
Hardness is the first one.
Right, I mean, the water in Putnam County is hard. Every place you go, it's hard. There's,
For this purpose, we got the filtration system. that-
there's not gonna be a filtration system. The only plant that we have a filtration system on, out of our special districts, is Brewster Heights, and that's because it's a surface water, and we need to meet the standards, and it has to go through filtration, because it's open to the air. But this is considered Rockwell, and they're not subject to filtering. And to put a water softener in a system this big, it wouldn't be cost effective. You're better off to put a softener and a filter in your house. It's cheaper that way.
Yeah, but the softener needs to regenerate, so it means the hell will consume more water.
Correct.
So it's like, it means that we'll pay more money for the same water.
But for us to put a filtration system into the plant and to do the same process for that amount of water that's gonna be used for gardening and other things that doesn't need to be as soft, it wouldn't be cost effective. It would cost probably twice as much for us to put a filter in for the district as it would be for you to put one in your house. use
And then
the
that would
additional water.
increase the
Right.
1 point whatever cents and, yeah. And something additional that might break.
Right.
If you want to forward the reports that you have that you said for the village and whatever, just send them to Levon so he can look and maybe he can give you some insight of what it is.
I may have it and I will try to do it.
Okay. And we'll respond to you. I mean, the bottom line is, we may not even know right at the moment. We did tests on the well itself, but until it's actually running, going through the pipes, and we get an actual test, we won't know it either.
No, we have pretty good accurate, the water's
Is it-
been put through the ringer, so to speak. Department of Health won't allow those wells to go online or for us to develop until they knew what the quality of the water was.
Well,
So-
the water quality is very good, and the gallons per minute is outrageous,
Extremely well.
outrageously good, by the way.
What's the pressure that do we have now? What pressure do we expect to have?
I think the standard is four gallons per minute in Putnam County, so I don't know what the,
No, he's
Well,
talking,
five
he's
for
talking about the
private
pressure, the actual pressure, not the yield, right?
Yeah.
It should be between, was it 45 and 60?
Well, a minimum of 35, a minimum of 35 PSI at the road is the standard, DOH standard. But at the plant, we have the flexibility of adjusting the discharge pressure, so. But the plant is designed to provide a minimum of 35 PSI. Most people will have much better than 35 PSI. So it should, especially those people near the top of the hill, I guess, between Hillcrest and Peaceable, on Peaceable Hill Road, these people should see a better pressure service compared to the village. But at least at the plant, we'll have the flexibility to adjust also the pressure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Pember again. This is a quick question. There's a nice stream, a brook behind in the woods there. Are they going to stop that brook or are they going to go under it? Somebody was saying, I was speaking to some of the tree people out there and everybody that's out there. So what's going to happen with that?
The new pipe is gonna be bored underneath that. That will remain.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? I'd like to publicly thank Mr.
I didn't get answered my proposal.
The changing the rates, like I said before, we need to collect a certain amount of money to pay the
I
debt,
understand, but I asked about scaling that over the years.
you can't scale it. If we owe $253,000 a year for a bond, we need to collect $253,000 for the bond. If it costs us $30,000 a year for operation and maintenance for the electric bill, we need to collect $30,000 a year. We can't say to you, you can pay us $240,000 for the bond and $10,000 for the O&M, because then you're gonna be short. Because the same thing happens with the expenses as it does with the additional funds at the end of the year. If you're short at the end of the year, that also comes out of you. That comes out of your rates, and that's when the rates go up and down, based on whatever happens in the district. So if we say we're gonna give you a lower rate the first year and a lower rate the second year, that means the third, fourth, and fifth year, we're gonna have to charge you even more to make up the balance that we didn't have.
I got it, but is that the interest rate that for the bond, is that with the money that the town is borrowing?
Miriam, it's not, you're not getting picked up, and it might be important for others who watch this tape. So do you want to come up and speak into the
Yeah,
mic?
Can we do that?
What, yeah, why don't you let him go first? Go ahead. While she comes up.
Rich Diaz. I'm curious, is the state and federal funding? Don't you guys get any state and federal funding for this amount?
We're trying, but it's limited to none on our end. Like I said, the salaries and things of that nature in our town are quite high, so most times we don't, can't get federal or state funding. Lynn has done a bunch because she's a Democrat, Mr. Maloney's a Democrat, not that it matters, and they work well together. We haven't seen anything. We have Republicans on the other one, which we are. The amount of monies available, sir, are very limited to Putnam County, especially the town of Southeast, because of the average income.
Yeah, in the past, we had gotten money for Springhouse,
$100,000.
$100,000 from, it was then the state senator, I think it was State Senator Ball at that time. So, it really, the grant writer that we have now, working for the town, has been charged and tasked with the responsibility of getting as much money as he can for everywhere in the town, and certainly this is a priority.
And we can certainly ask our state senator and assemblyman to look into it as well, and I'm sure we will.
Okay, the other question I had was, as far as how much exactly are you talking about per quarter for an average family?
505 per quarter.
505 per quarter, that's a minimum, right?
No,
No.
the minimum, you asked for the average. When I say the average, that's 105 units. They would be around 505. There's 14 units that would be paying 395, and there's 25 users that'll be paying approximately $615 a quarter, because they use a lot more water.
So this is on top of the flat fee, or this is?
No, this is it. That's exactly what you pay. You asked me what they pay per quarter. That's the quarterly charge estimated based on these numbers, and they're asking for that to be reduced or raised accordingly. But we've gone over these numbers. That's the best we can do. So how many, what do you have?
So wait, before you're talking about 2,000 a year or 2,022 a year?
$2,020 a year.
Not including the flat fee?
No, that's everything.
That's included.
That's
That's
everything,
everything?
soup to nuts.
So 2,000 a year and more, I just think it's kind of severe.
But
What are you paying now?
exactly?
Huh?
What are you paying now? That gentleman spoke before. He's gonna be saving close to $80 a month.
Well, to me, that would be like an increase. Well, I have
Not
other medical
quarter,
expenses.
sorry.
I just think, I don't want to get into the details other than to say that I just object. That's kind of heavy, you know? I just think
is
that's kind of a lot. For, you got medical expenses, you got other expenses that, and I just want to make my objection known.
Okay?
I have a couple of questions in terms of the money. Oh,
Put that down, Miriam, so we can hear you a little better, please.
the money is borrowed against the bond to pay for that, right?
Yes.
The interest rate for the money borrowed is a fixed interest rate?
I believe it is, yes.
You believe or you know?
No, I'm gonna say I believe it is. If it's not, I'll call you and tell you.
Okay. So in other words...
It's a
they're not
20-year
gonna-
bond we're taking.
So in other words, they're not going to increase it over the years?
Should not.
Pretty sure it's locked down.
We have in our district a congressman who promised to help all small town in many ways and apparently help a lot of them. And I thought maybe we can approach him and ask him for some government money.
We're doing
You're
it.
talking about Meloni, Sean Meloni.
Yeah, yeah. I've spoken to him, and I can speak to him again and see if
Please.
there's more available. I think we're going to explore it at all levels, starting from the state assembly all the way up to the federal level, to the Senate.
Let's say that it's lucky day and we get a lot of money from
don't-
everybody.
John, I
Keep
would-
dreaming.
Let's assume, let's dream, okay? Let's dream. We're allowed
Pennies
to
from
dream.
heaven.
The money that we're gonna get, is that gonna come back to
Wait,
us?
no, there's no money to get. We're gonna try to get money. Right now, you're paying 100%.
I'm dreaming.
Well,
Allow me,
Yeah,
I'm
the
dreaming.
answer would be, if we had money to offset expenses, of course, it would go to your district. It would reduce your, yes, it would go to reduce your fees and your
And
usage.
that will be even if the board will change or whatever, that's the way.
Once the grant is received,
Yeah.
it's there. It's in your bank account, for lack of a
Because it would be
better
for your
description.
district, if we were lucky enough, and this is not likely, I'm just saying because of income levels. But if that were to happen, and it would be for Peaceable Hill or whatever did, in this case.
But my point is, I'm not gonna change the rule in the event Tony retired and the board changed.
Oh, cut dreaming.
It would
No.
supplement, it would supplement what's
Listen,
Now,
what's
the board-
everything happened in this
This
country.
board has nothing to do
No.
with ever. Once this is done for 20 years, whatever board sitting here has to honor that agreement.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I mean, part of the reason we got the money from Springhouse, they had a different situation than you guys. Springhouse had contaminated bad water that they couldn't drink. Your water was never contaminated or bad, it's just expensive.
You're
So
welcome
what
to
we're
my
doing
house.
is trying it, as you well know, you've been involved in this from day one, we're trying to reduce the price that we pay from the village and have control, because that's what the people at the time wanted. Remember, we actually sent everything
remember.
a
I
little
remember
ballot
really
and
well.
asked, right. So that's what we're trying to do. Unfortunately, the expenses are getting a little higher than we thought. But we will explore other options with grants.
It
I
is
know
unlikely.
Congressman Maloney is very involved. The city of Newburgh has a
Very
bad water
much,
problem.
very much.
And it's contaminated water. So, unfortunately, the federal government only has so much money, and I think their priority is going to be a city that has contaminated water over.
And probably a much lower income.
Right, and lower income in Newburgh too, than our situation, but we'll try. If we can get it, we'll get it.
Thank you.
Just a quick note, James Langley again to Mrs. Pembroke's point about notification. When the land clearing started, I understand it's a subcontractor, no one notified myself or my wife. I got a call at 1 o'clock in the afternoon that there's a tractor trailer in front of my house with a backhoe. Are they starting construction? I didn't have an answer for her, so no one notified me. So to her point, what is the channel of notification gonna be when construction starts?
The website, right?
The notification is that we've sent out letters to people in the district that we were working on this project. You came to the last public hearing, you knew it was coming. We can't notify every resident of every step that we're doing.
You can't knock on the front door of the parcel in front of where you're digging and excavating and clearing trees? Isn't that human courtesy?
I mean, I got the town board to answer that, but I don't see the great
Hey, don't blame
impact.
us.
We had to do it, and it had to be done by a certain date.
We have to take
Land,
taxes too. We have to do it, I get that.
But
it's
it-
a matter of courtesy, is my point.
We could put it on the website, maybe, if people, we have a portal for special districts.
Proposed date, start date.
I mean, that would probably be the easiest.
I think we can
most
speak to the
inexpensive way to do it.
contractors who are involved and say that, in particular you, please knock on the door, leave a note, pop something in the mailbox, even though I'm not saying, I know it's a federal offense to go into mailboxes, but
if you sign up, we have on a new website, you can sign up for emails, and we can put it through the email system.
Yeah, okay.
But
So you have a Southeast email alert system?
we do,
Yes,
but we
it's-
also have a sub one for a special district, so you would sign up for Peaceable
Peaceable
Hill.
Hill.
You'll only get Peaceable Hill information.
You know what you do before you go? Just come up here, give me your name, address, your email address, and we'll put you on it tomorrow morning.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but everybody, if you go to our website, it's very user-friendly. It's a new website. Just submit your email address, and you'll get all the information when it's posted.
He wanted to know if the final design plans are on the website, so we can add those to the website too, if you want.
We'll put it on tomorrow. Oh, Monday.
Monday?
Monday.
That sounds good.
Is that it?
You know what I'm saying, it's just, it's nice to know when things happen.
Right.
What's next? Anyone else? Is there anyone else to make comment? Okay, again, I do want to make a public comment that you have a liaison with the town board, Mr. Berman. I thank you very much for your patience. I always couldn't get things to him because you know what? It wasn't coming to me. The process with it, thank you. The process with all the different agencies and whatever, when I was made aware of something, I made him aware. And I want to thank him. He did and Mr. Berman, you are staying on until this is complete, are you not?
Yes, I do.
Every time we get something, we will forward you.
Right.
And again, thank you.
And Tony, if I can, I would like to thank the residents of Peaceable Hill because their courtesy and patience has really been outstanding. And I know this is disappointing, but we'll keep working with you and hopefully you'll have new water next year. So thank you all very much.
New and better.
Okay, with that, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sir, would you just come up 1 second so I can make sure I read your handwriting? And we'll be with you in just 1 second.
I have my own pen, I can't write with it.
Okay. James S. Anglois.
Yep.
And in 1983. 83
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Is your phone number?
Just get in touch with me. And just so you know,
Let me just get myself organized here.
Work session,
Yep.
nothing.
There's nothing on our work session this evening. Now we're going to make a motion to go into the regular meeting. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First one is a resolution, Town Center wastewater treatment plant, release of performance bond and establishment of a landscape maintenance bond. Now therefore be resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to cancel and return the original performance security for the Brewster Town Center wastewater treatment plant, project located at 1618-1624 Route 22, tax map number 46.-2-39, and to return any and all original bonds, deposits, letter of credit, or other indicia of security posted in connection with the project on the condition the applicant/owner files a landscape maintenance bond with the town clerk in the amount of not less than $2,000 for a period of 2 years. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
I'd just like to say that's probably the nicest looking sewer plant that I ever saw in my life. It's a very attractive building.
No, good. I hope it don't stink.
Well, hopefully it doesn't, but so many people ask me, what's in that building? I'm like, it's a sewer plant. And they're like, really? I'm like, oh.
the Peach Lake one's nice too.
Yeah.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, resolution, local law, chapter 39, alarms. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number 5 of 2017, amending chapter 79 of the town code alarms to update such chapter to reflect current practice and procedure in relation to administering the ownership and maintenance of the central station alarm systems for residential and commercial application, to clarify certain terms, reconstitute the alarm appeal board and the town board, eliminate inconsistencies, and normalize the provisions relating to the fees for alarm permits, and be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to A, enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the code book of the town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York within the time required by law. So moved. For discussion.
Tony, I think you read chapter 79, but I have 39.
Wait, time out.
Second, after the resolve, second line. It's chapter, is that right, 39?
I have chapter 39. Did
Okay.
I say something different?
I think you did say 79, but
Yeah,
it's,
well, because it definitely says 39.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, okay, if I said 79, I meant 39.
Okay.
I could read that gentleman's writing, I can't read mine. Okay, we're even.
Yep.
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3 is a resolution, local law, chapter 54, building construction and fire prevention. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number 6 of 2017, amending Chapter 54 of the Town Code, Building Construction and Fire Prevention, to include the provisions of proposed Chapter 56 of the Town Code as enforcement responsibilities of the Town Code enforcement personnel, and be further resolved that the Town Clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to A, enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the code book of the Town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York within the time required by law. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 4, local law, Chapter 56, property maintenance. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number 7 of 2017, which would enact Chapter 56 of the Code of the Town of Southeast entitled Property Maintenance, to establish certain minimum standards in property maintenance, impose penalties for failure to abide in said minimum standards, and authorize the town to take certain actions to rectify property maintenance code violations, and provide a mechanism for collecting a public fund expended to maintain minimum standards, and be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to A, enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting in the code book of the Town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York with the time required by law. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. Briefly, finally, we have something on the books, so if your neighbors are not mowing, you have what they call a zombie home next to you, contact the building department, we'll go out and look, and this year, we might be able to do something for you, which is good. But this law does not take effect for at least 30 days after receipt by the Albany. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 5 is a resolution to adopt the Justice Court records. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby accepts the reports and examination of the Town of Southeast Justice Courts for the period ended December 31, 2016, and certifies that the requirements of Section 2019A has been fulfilled. And be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to enter a copy of this resolution into the minutes of this meeting and to forward a certified copy of this resolution together with a copy of the report dated May 30, 2017 to Joan Cazaza, International Control Liaison, New York State Office of Court Administration, 2500 Pond View, Suite LL01, Castleton on the Hudson, New York, 12033. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion briefly. Michelle, I have all these documents in my office, and I'll give them to you on Monday. Look forward. All in favor?
Aye.
And number 6, it's a resolution to appoint members to the Brewster Public Library Board of Trustees. Now, when we get to this point here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I got it.
She's Latin, I'm not. I'm Italian.
I'm
Okay.
prepared.
Okay. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby appoints the following individuals as trustees/directors of the Brewster Public Library for the terms ending as follows. Karen DeSantis, term ending 12/31/17. John Devers, term ending 12/31/2018. Robert Gosling, term ending 12/31/2019. And Michael Kahn, term ending 12/31/20. And be further resolved that these appointments shall take effect immediately, and that all actions taken by said trustees in their official capacity prior to this formal appointment are hereby ratified and approved.
Nunc pro tunc.
Now, Will made me practice that for half an hour, and I still failed, but thank you for your help. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor except for my Latin?
Except for,
My Latin.
oh, yes. Aye.
Aye. Okay, with that, public comment. Seeing no public comment? Town board comment? Wow, that's great. Seeing no comment from the town board?
But we are
entertain
going
a
to go
motion?
into executive session.
Yeah, we're going to go into executive session, which we'll make a motion after we've actually, I guess before we close the meeting. No action will be taken, but we have a few maybe 10 minutes worth of discussion there.
And we're not coming back.
And we're not coming back. So, on that motion to go into executive session with no action to be taken,
I will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.